I'm now going to show you some color pencil techniques. So there's lots of different things you can do with color pencils. This first idea is called varying pressure or making a gradient. So I'm just going to press lightly with my color pencil to fill it all in. Now I'm going to press a little bit harder. And you see how the color just gets a tiny bit darker because I'm pressing harder. Then I'm going to press heavy, which means it gets a lot darker. All right, and then burnish is kind of where you keep layering your pressure on there. So, and what happens is, if I do it right, it's going to kind of have a polished effect and filled in nicely. So burnish takes a lot longer, and it's got a lot of layers of color on it. But in the end, it looks really nice and it's smooth. The color looks smooth. So that's burnished. All right, then there's layering color. So it's very similar to burnished. With if I was just to layer one color, you put one color down, and then I'm just going to put another layer of it down, and it just fills it in more so you don't get white streaky area, because nobody wants to see sneaky peeky white. Or I could do the same with two colors, where the first time I do one color, and then I go over it with a second color. I'm mixing it too, but I'm also filling it in so that it looks complete. And it makes it more interesting to see two colors mixed together. Hatching is where you draw diagonal lines that all go in the same direction. So if you want to make it go from light to dark, your lines are a little bit more spread apart. And then as you get closer together, they start to appear darker. So it's not that I'm pressing harder. It's that my lines in the beginning are farther apart and that the lines at the end are significantly closer, and that gives the appearance of being darker. I could do the same thing with two colors where the lines in the beginning are farther apart and then they slowly get closer and closer together. And let's do this color. So these lines are farther apart and then they slowly get closer together, and that makes it appear like a darker color because your eye mixes it together. Cross hatching is very similar. So cross hatching with one color is you have parallel lines that go this direction, wide, and then the closer together they are, the darker it gets. But cross hatching, they go the other way. They make kind of like X's on your paper. And the closer together they get, the darker it appears. So I could do the same thing with two colors where it's farther apart, and then the closer together at the end. And then my second color, I'll do this color, it's spread apart. So you can tell it looks darker in this bottom corner because they're closer together. Now, stippling is a fun one. But I want to warn you, we're taking a pencil and we're making dots. We're not taking our pencil and jamming it into the paper. If you jam it into the paper, your pencil point will break and you will torture yourself. So your dots could literally be made by taking your pencil going up and down. Now the dots made from that are very tiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a slight variation, and I'm going to make little lines. That way it shows up and you can see it, because if I do this, my hand blocks the view too. So stippling, to make it appear like a lighter color without actually mixing white with it, you do less dots. Medium, still pressing the same hardness. I'm not making it any harder and pushing any more. Has a lot more dots involved, and that it makes it appear like it's a darker color. Heavy has a lot of dots involved. And the more dots you do, the darker it appears. And then of course there's two colors. So that is another way to mix it without actually mixing, because you can't mix color pencil together because it's a hard material. So I have one color And then I'll go and add a second, I'll do this color on top. So if you want to mix color pencil, you can layer two colors together. You can hatch two colors together, you can cross hatch two colors together, or you can try stippling with two colors together, and that will make your eye pretend it's mixing together. And those are some color pencil techniques.